The next activity which we are going to talk is more from a design and transition activity. The purpose of design and transition activity is to ensure that product and service continuously meet stakeholder expectation for quality, cost, and time to market, right? The three constraints for project management which we are talking about, right, which is going to be quality, cost, and time, right? How are we going to make sure like we are going to meet the stakeholder expectation from these three parameters or these three perspectives which we are talking about, right? A customer needs a change, necessarily activities are adjusted accordingly. Let's take a look into the inputs and outputs of the design activities. Right. So once again, let's understand a little bit on design and transition. We have started with the activity called plan. There is a plan, there is an engage, there is an improvement activity which is going on. At the moment we have understood what the customer wants. Now we are going into design and transition. Based on the requirements, based on the architectures which we have reviewed, or based on the policies what we have gone through, we will review that. So these are the inputs which we have. Once we have all these inputs, like for example portfolio decisions, right? We have the portfolio saying that this is what is going to be the portfolio for 2025. So once we understand for this year 2025, these are some of the portfolios, or these are the services what the organization is going to provide. So it will be very easy for us to come up with the details across that. Architecture and policies, right? It's very important to understand the architecture, the technical architectures, right? The policies, what are the organization policies? Once we understand, because of that, based on that, we can design and we can do the transition activity which we are talking about. Improvements. Once again, when we say from a design and transition, we are designing something. Like while designing, we make sure that we are taking into consideration the availability of that particular service, right? And then in SLA document, we use this buzzword always, or the number, the magical number which we talk about, 99.99. What exactly 99.99 means, right? To design a service which is going to provide 99.99 uptime or availability, we have to make sure the cost is also aligned. We have to make sure the budget, we have the right budget for that, right? So improvement initiatives and plans, right? Improve activity will be able to provide all these inputs which you can take it up and you can work towards that. Performance report, as I said earlier itself, we are designing something. It's always better to consider how the services has been doing, or how the previous services or similar services has been working on. Right. Design activity requires the plan, the architecture information, customer requirements, and other information from engage. Component informations from build, and like if we talk about in availability management, we used to talk about like component failure impact analysis. If a component fails, right, how is it going to be? Do we have a cluster associated with that? And as I said earlier, we are looking into cost, quality, and time to market. So we have to make sure when we are providing a solution, there is a cost associated with it. So if you are going to give a cluster solution, so the availability is going to be higher, there is a cost, the cost is going to be higher. So how exactly you are going to work towards that? Transition requires knowledge transfer of the product, right? So that is where transition we are going to do. As I said, design is an activity. We are going to completely understand the requirements and you are going to come up with a design. So it could be a blueprint. Once again, transition is going to be an activity. How are we going to convert this design into the real infrastructure? How are we going to build that real infrastructure? So from an output perspective, if you take into it, we are talking about we will get the requirements and specifications. So after performing this design and transition activity, we are very clear with the requirement and specifications, right? We have the contract and agreement requirements, which is clearly documented. We know what is the new service or what is going to be the change product this particular service is going to provide. knowledge and information about new and change product and services, performance information and improvement opportunities. All these are some of the outputs from design. So while designing, we will take some of these input, understand all the factors, and will make sure that we are coming up with a robust design which is able to provide the service as a quality service, a cost effective service, and a timely service to the customers.